likeness, as in a reflection. So when God said, let us make mankind in our image and our likeness, he was saying that we are his representation. We are the image of Christ on earth.
Wake up in the morning, I thank God, I love my God, I'm my icon. Yeah, I'm an image, so I'ma live it, I love my God. I don't like sinning, I don't like stressing, I count my blessings. I need my saving, I need them daily. Wake up in the morning, I thank God, I love my God, I'm my icon. Yeah, I'm an image, so I'ma live it, I love my God. I don't like sinning, I don't like stressing, I count my blessings. I need my saving, I need them daily.
Let's go. Let's go. Hey, welcome to the show tonight. This is Pastor Terry, senior pastor of the iconic church. That's me. I crack up every time I hear that. I never thought that I would hear that, but I'm so grateful about what God is doing in this season. If he can do it for me, listen, he can do it for you. I promise you. If he can save a wretch like me, he can definitely save you. I just need to double check. We good. Need to double check my sound. Been having some technical difficulties, but it's all working out. I want to welcome you to this show. Look, this show is not my Bible study show. It's not spiritual, although I say it's not spiritual, but I end up being spiritual because once you get in with God, it's hard to really get away from that, even in basic conversation. But this show is meant to be a motivational show. I love the fact that I've been called a pastor, but I also believe that I've been called to motivate. Listen, I've been through a lot in my life, have had a lot of accomplishment, a lot of pitfalls, a lot of ups, a lot of downs, but at the end of the day, I'm still standing. And I'm standing really because of something that I've developed over the years. This thing that I've developed, what is it called? It's called resiliency. It's called resiliency. And that's what I came to talk to you about today. I came to talk to you today about resiliency, bouncing back after a setback. And you know, they say that every setback is a setup for a comeback. And I'm believing that your ability to develop this trait, this skill, called resiliency is the key to you overcoming the thing that you're trying to overcome. It's the key to getting through what you're trying to get through. And if you're looking for a trait to develop that's going to help your life, it would be hard to argue that developing greater resiliency won't do that. Many people are not successful on their first try, but resiliency increases the odds of you trying again. And not only you trying again, but you being successful again and again until your objective is met. And listen, the level of your success is heavily dependent on the amount of resiliency you possess. That's right. Your ability to be successful is dependent on the amount of resiliency that you've developed. And any setback is easier to overcome, more easily overcome when you have resiliency. So what I want to do tonight is I want to talk to you about 8 ways to develop this resiliency that will carry you through some difficult times, some difficult situations, and some difficult circumstances. The first thing that you have to, number one, you have to understand is that you're going to have setbacks. You're going to have issues. You're going to have trials. You're going to have tribulations. You're going to have difficulties. How you come out of them is based on your ability to be resilient, based on your ability to overcome the thing that you weren't able to do, overcome the thing that you weren't able to accomplish. And the first thing you have to do, number one, you have to manage your response. Yeah, you have to manage your response. How do you respond to your setback? Do you become determined or disheartened? It's really a flip of the coin. Are you committed to succeeding, or are you looking for an excuse to quit? You know, that's what happens when we have a setback. We, at that very point, at that very moment in time, we have to make a decision. Are we going to become more determined as a result, or are we going to be swayed and dismayed and not do what we're called to do? And a lot of times our first response to a setback is anger. We get angry, we get upset, And anger is better than despair. Peacefulness and curiosity are more useful than anger. And we have a tendency of blaming others for our setback. So, are you taking responsibility for your setback? You know yourself. So the most useful response for you to have is the one that you say to yourself. Number two, you have to examine what happened, right? You have to examine what happened and be better for it. Learn what you can from your setback. If you learn something, apply what you've learned in the future, and then your setback will have been useful to you. And as you're doing that, as you're examining what happened, what caused you to have this setback, you have to ask yourself some questions. Did you rely on the wrong person? Did you have the wrong approach? Did you lack the necessary skill or knowledge to accomplish what you were trying to do? What happened and how can you be better next time? And then number three, we're talking about bouncing back from a setback. Number three is, when you've had a setback, when you've had something happen that takes you out of your purpose, off course, sometimes you just have to sit back and take a breath. Take a deep breath. Think about what happened. Evaluate the situation, but don't take too long, because the longer you take, the harder it is to get moving. The longer you take, the harder it is to bounce back. You have to avoid feeling pressured or frantic, but it's better to take a moment before you proceed. Take a moment, take a deep breath, and then proceed. And then any challenge you're facing, look, it's not going anywhere. It's going to be there tomorrow. So guess what? If you can't solve it today, take a break, think about it, and do what you have to do for number four. And number four is you have to make a new plan. Look, just because it was a setback, I just said that every setback is a setup for a comeback. So that means that if it was a setback, then you have to begin to, number one, manage your response. Number two, examine what happened and be better for it. And in other words, you have to learn from it. And number three, take a breath. But most importantly, number four, you have to make a new plan. You have to make a new plan. You tried, you failed, you learned from it. You gave yourself a couple days to recover, and now it's time to try again. It's time to do it all over again. But this time, the outcome is going to be different because you have experience. You have knowledge. Therefore, whatever happened in the setback to cause things not to work in your favor, you now have an understanding of what not to do. You now have an understanding of what not to do. And then you have to ask yourself, why is this new idea going to be better than the last one? And then you have to understand and be clear on why it's an improvement. What can you do today to bounce back from your setback? What can you do today to bounce back from your setback? Well, listen, avoiding making a plan is not going to help you. You have to make a plan that you can implement that will take you or catapult you not only into what you were trying to accomplish, but into your future. And then once you do that, you have to manage your mindset. You have a specific destination. You have a specific place you're trying to go to. You have a specific thing you're trying to accomplish. And in order for you to be able to accomplish it, your mind has to be in the right place. You have to manage your mindset. And you have to, have an understanding of how you're doing at this time. And you have to ask yourself some questions. Are you desperate or are you determined? Are you confident or are you hopeless? A poor mindset suggests that you don't trust your plan. And listen, if you don't trust your plan, if you don't trust you, guess what? Who else do you think is going to trust you? I'm for real. Once you develop the plan, you have to trust yourself and the plan. And ensuring that you have a plan makes you feel confident. And once you feel confident, you then have the ability to overcome your setback. You realize that this setback wasn't only to hold you back, but it was a setup for a comeback. I want to say good evening to a couple people. Sarah, my cousin, Tanya. Hey, I appreciate you ladies being on tonight. We're talking about resiliency, that trait that we need to develop when times get tough, when things get hard. We have to be resilient. We have to do all of these things to figure out how do we get through what we're going through. And so we talked, about a couple of different ways to do that. First, we have to manage our response. We have to examine what happened and be better for it. We have to take a breath, take a break. We have to make a new plan. We have to manage our mindset. And after you manage your mindset, you literally have your mind together. Then you need to begin to say some self-affirmative words to yourself. When you look in the mirror, what do you see? Do you see someone who's frightened, or do you see someone who's courageous? What type of talk are you saying to yourself? If you're telling yourself you can't do it, the likelihood is that it won't get done. The likelihood is that it won't happen. But if you begin to develop these traits of resiliency, you'll begin to not only look at yourself differently, but you'll begin to speak to yourself differently. You'll begin to speak those things that are not as if they are, because of the confidence that you develop in who you are and what you've overcome. And see, you're stronger than you realize you are. And the only reason why you're not is because you've told yourself you're not. So you need to begin to understand that the only way you're going to bounce back, the only way you're going to overcome, the only way you're going to get back on track is realizing exactly how strong you are. Realize that you possess the ability and the capability to overcome every setback, to overcome every obstacle. And once you're in that place of strength, you put yourself in a place of victory automatically. You can already lift your hands and say, I won. Once you put yourself in that place of strength, your mind is strong, you're physically strong, you're thinking strong, then you're able to realize what's next. And what's next? Point number 7, it's time to go. It's time to go for it. Point number 7 is you have to go for it. And listen, you have to give yourself permission to be optimistic that it's going to be a success. Going into it with the wrong mindset, thinking that it won't work, oh, this happened last time, I won't be able to do it, is a setup for failure. And listen, nobody else is setting you up for it other than yourself. So if you're going to talk to yourself, then you might as well say the things to yourself that you need to hear. Because the reality is this, is that you might not be able to hear the words that you need to get you through from someone else. So therefore, you have to develop this resiliency. You have to develop these traits that says no matter what happens, no matter who says something to me, no matter who doesn't, I am equipped. I'm in a position of power. I'm in a position to say it to myself. When I look at myself, I'm telling myself I can make it. When I look at myself, when I look in the mirror, I'm telling myself I can do it. When I look at myself, I'm telling myself, look, it doesn't matter what happened last time. I believe this time is going to be different. I believe this time I can make it. I believe this time that I won't make the mistakes that I made last time, because now I have a better understanding that my setback was a set up for a comeback. Who am I talking to today? You realize that you possess the power, you possess the ability, you possess the knowledge, but you're scared. When you look in the mirror, you're frightened about what's coming. You're frightened about whether or not you can get it done. And listen, I came tonight to tell you that you have it. You have what it takes to overcome any obstacle. You have what it takes to overcome any setback. And it begins in your mind. It begins with you developing the understanding that you can do it. And guess what? You don't need nobody else to tell you you can do it. Hey, Miss Lena, thank you for joining tonight. You really don't. You don't need anyone else to tell you you can do it. I got my wife on tonight. Good evening, my dear. I know you're on your way home from work. I appreciate you supporting your husband. I really do. I appreciate it greatly. And listen, we're talking about bouncing back after a setback. We all have setbacks. The primary difference in how we manage them is how we overcome them. And oftentimes, again, it's about what we're saying to ourselves. And once we get in this place of strength, once we get in this place of authority, this place where we're commanding things over our own life, that's when we begin to accomplish some of the things that we never thought or imagined that we could accomplish. And so once you get in that place, anytime you have another setback, it doesn't feel the same. You don't look at it the same. You don't treat it the same, because you understand that these setbacks are only temporary gaps in between your success and your accomplishments. In other words, you know that just because you have a setback, that doesn't mean it's going to stop you. Just because you have a setback doesn't mean you won't be able to accomplish. It's basically a bump in the road. And what happens with bumps in the road? We slow down and we go over them. Sometimes we go around them, but oftentimes we never let them stop us. A bump is not a barrier. A bump is something you go over, and you have to be cautious, and you have to take your time as you go over it. And that's what setbacks are. They're not in place to stop you from achieving the thing that you're trying to achieve. They're not in place to stop you or prohibit you from getting to the place that you're going. That's why they call them a setback. They set you back to a degree, and while you're set back, it's in that place that you have to make a decision. It's in that place that you have to develop this trait of resiliency that says, look, this happened. I've been set back. Now I need to take a moment. I need to regroup. I need to figure out why. I need to take a break. And after that, I need to change my mind. I need to figure out, okay, how am I going to overcome this? What am I going to do to overcome this? And once you figure that out, you're in a place of strength. You're in a place of authority. And once you're in that place is when you're able to say, okay, you know what? I'm ready. I'm ready to go all in. I'm ready to go for it. I'm ready to roll the dice. I'm ready to make it happen. And once you do that, you treat your setbacks in your life differently. You'll treat your setbacks in your life differently than you did prior to developing this mindset of strength, to developing this understanding that you don't need people to affirm you. You don't need people to tell you good job. You don't need people to tell you you can do it. And listen, I'm not saying it's anything wrong with having a tribe, having people in your corner, people you can count on, people who are going to give you an encouraging word. But you set yourself up for failure when you depend on people to do that for you, when you haven't developed the trait that you can do it for yourself. And that's really what I'm saying. What I'm saying tonight is that we need to develop the trait that we become less dependent on people and more dependent on, I said I wasn't going to go there, but more dependent on God and more dependent on ourselves. You have to take a level of accountability for yourself for achieving not what you plan to achieve. You have to take a level of accountability yourself for not achieving the goals that you set for yourself. And what you have to do is you have to look at them exactly as what they are. You have to look at them as setbacks. You have to assess the situation, figure out what happened, figure out what you can do differently, learn from it, gain a sense of strength in your mind, and then begin to tell yourself you can do it. And once you've done that, you need to do it. And listen, every other setback that happens in your life is not going to be a moment of grief, despair, or depression. Every other setback, you're going to look at it differently. And watch this. One thing that you will do, one trait that you will develop as a result of strengthening your resiliency is that you won't quit. Somebody do me a favor, put that in the chat. I won't quit. I won't quit. That literally means that despite what happens, despite your failures, despite your past, despite the things that you haven't yet to accomplish, you're not going to quit. You're not going to quit. You're going to find another way. You're not going to give up. You're going to find another way. You're going to find an alternative route. That's what happens when we're on the road to prosperity, when we're on the road to purpose. You literally could be on the highway going to a destination, and you put it in your GPS. And as a result of a setback, right, an accident, something happened on the highway, your GPS will direct you to an alternate location. And see, your life is like that GPS. You're going to come up on accidents. You're going to come up on obstructions that are meant to slow you down, that are meant to keep you from getting to the place that you're getting, but not permanently. It's only temporary. And once you understand that these roadblocks are temporary, these setbacks are temporary, you develop a no quit type of attitude. You've heard the saying, winners don't quit, and what is it? Winners never quit and quitters never win. And that's the truth. You develop this level of resiliency that says, I don't care what happens that tries to stop me. I don't care what happens that tries to block me. I will not quit. I will win. And when you begin to tell yourself that you will win, you won't believe this. You're going to win. When you begin to tell yourself that you're going to win, this sounds crazy. I know it sounds crazy. When you begin to tell yourself that you're going to win, guess what you're going to do? You're going to win. You're going to win. And I feel like some of us have lost because we haven't believed we can win. We've lost on past experience. We've lost because we lost before, and we came to this understanding that if it happened before, it's going to happen again. Oh, the outcome's not going to be different. You're talking this self-defeating talk. Of course, it's not going to be different. You're telling yourself it's not going to be different, right? I came to tell you tonight that you're in control of your outcome based on what you say to yourself. You're in control of your outcome based on what you believe about yourself. Look, nobody else might not ever believe in you, but if you believe in yourself, you have everything you need to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish in life. You absolutely do. So listen, I really hope that this short moment, I'm keeping these to 30 minutes. I really hope that this short, brief, motivational short is going to help you to understand, look, that every setback is a setup for a comeback. Don't get heavy laden. Don't get burdened by the fact that it didn't work. Don't quit. Don't give up. Don't think that it won't work. Begin to tell yourself that it will work. Begin to tell yourself you have what it takes to get it done. Begin to tell yourself, despite what happens, despite any setback, any obstacle, I will figure out another way. And guess what you're going to do? You're going to figure out another way. That's exactly what's going to happen. Listen, I don't know who you have talking to you, or I don't know who you've been talking to, but if they haven't been telling you that you can do it, then you might need to change your circle. You might need to change your group of friends, because I don't know about you, but I need to be encouraged. And listen, if nobody else is going to encourage me, I'm going to encourage myself. And that's basically what you have to do to overcome. That's what you have to do in those situations of setbacks. You have to understand that this is temporary. This is just happening right now. Assess the situation, figure out what you have to do, and then make moves, make decisions, get strong in your mind, realize how strong you are. And once you realize how strong you are, it's time to go for it. All right. Listen, hey, I hope this really blessed you tonight. Life is going to have challenges. It's going to have difficulties. Your ability to overcome is based on what comes out of your own mouth. You don't have it because you haven't asked for it yet. So it's time to start asking for it. It's time to start making some declarations over yourself that I will not quit, that I will win, that I won't give up. Despite what happens, I will not quit. I will not quit. I will not give up. I will not give up trying to reach people. I will not give up trying to help people. I will not give up trying to encourage people. I will not give up trying to motivate people, because guess what? If one person walks away from this broadcast telling me that they feel better about themselves, they feel better about their situation, they now think they can do it, their confidence has been increased, guess what? It served its purpose. So, hey, I hope that person is you. I thank you for tuning in tonight. I was really, really, really blessed by the amount of people that are on tonight. And I will be back on Thursday. Thursday is going to be my normal Be Iconic spiritual Bible study driven show. But going from here on out, Tuesdays are going to be strictly motivational. I pray that it helped you. Hey, you know what I say on my way out? Whomever God favors, the kingdom features, and the enemy fights. Be iconic. Peace.